not going to be playing much tonight myself. But I thought that I would talk a little bit about it and go through any questions or answers you guys thought about, because these 2-game slates are a little bit, they're not where you really want to make your money in general in DFS. The real advantage on 2-game slates are like the very beginning of the season, maybe the very end of the season, when there's like some speculation edge. I don't really see a whole lot of speculation edge in this tournament, and in this particular slate. Now, the things you can do, I'm gonna share Roto Grinders, which again, shout out to Roto Grinders for doing a great job. But in general, we are going to be moving with another platform, which we can talk about very soon, but we're not quite there yet. So in the meantime, I am going to share my screen here, and let's see. Let me just make sure to do this right. Oops. Let me get this set up, and it's okay because there's nobody here yet. And what's up to anybody who is? Say what's up when you get in chat, just so we can have a quick back and forth. And yeah, let's see. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen, and we are going to look at Roto Grinders projections as a base. All right. So look. Oh, wait, it's not sharing my screen. That's really weird. For some reason, it's not allowing me to share my screen. So let's talk about each of the plays, and we'll go through both games real quick. Okay. So on the Brooklyn side of things, I think that Durant is going to be, I mean, look, these guys are all good plays. Like, it's hard to get them in on this kind of a slate. But the guy you can use maybe to get a little bit different would either be Drummond. Actually, Drummond would be my preferred guy. I don't know why he's projecting quite so badly. I understand he only played 24 minutes the last game, and it was Charlotte, but he put up 47 fantasy points. Against the size of Embiid, it feels like he's a more natural matchup than anybody else they have, including Claxton. It could go Claxton's way, but I actually like the idea of playing playing Drummond, because he is one guy you can get at the moment at low ownership that has an 8x range in his possibilities. So he's actually my favorite Brooklyn piece for tournaments. Obviously, Durant, Kyrie on this slate makes sense. And I think Goran Dragic is going to be really popular, but I don't mind if you want to go a different way than Dragic. And I do like Dragic, but I just think that at his ownership, maybe we can find another thing we can do. On the Philly side, I do think it's just worth it just to play Harden. It's a weird, like, revenge spot, because like he sort of demanded his way out. Like, it's just a very strange situation to try and peg. So I prefer Harden over Embiid. Embiid should be a little bit higher owned. Personally, I will probably go Harden. I'm not going to play a bunch of lineups, like I said, so Harden would be my priority guy there. The guy you can use to get a little bit off the board in this matchup is Tyrese Maxey. Again, just another low-owned opportunity play, sort of like Drummond, that has a ceiling and could have a really big game here if things don't work out well for the studs. So I think Maxey and Drummond, boom, you're already way off the board if you play those two. But in general, it's going to be Harden, Durant as my favorite two options in that first game. In the next game, Looney, with the value savings on this slate, is going to be hard to resist. Bjelica, in addition to or instead of Looney, I think is a very viable option. The problem is the ownership, so I'm having a little trouble with that. Same thing with everybody basically on Golden State. They're all going to be high-owned. Moody, Kuminga. I like all of these guys. Jordan Poole, I'm not really sure why his projection is to be so high-owned, but I really think you can make a good case for everybody on Golden State. The one guy who won't be owned for what it's worth is Andrew Wiggins, and maybe this would be a spot where you could play Andrew Wiggins at 7K and get low just for the ownership and the different lineup construction build. And I think that's an interesting route to go. On the Denver side, obviously Jokic, the number one play. I think that depending on what happens with Highland, Barton, and Jeff Green, Monte Morris is obviously a good play anyway, but I think that he's a really good play if those guys are out, and a very tough fade if you wanted to try and make that fade. JaMychal Green would be in play if those guys are out. We don't know what's really going to happen with them, so we're going to have to wait till later to see that. And the get weird play over here, just because the minutes, if those guys are out, is going to be Austin Rivers. It's not a fun play. I understand it. He did put up 30 a couple games ago against this same team. And I think that's a reasonable route to go. So those are your low-owned guys on each side. Rivers, Wiggins, Maxey, and Drummond. And that's who I would be using to get different from the obviously good chalk. That's where I'm at right now. So guys, pop on in, say what's up, and let me know where you're at. Yeah, midday live stream, just talking through a little bit of this two gamer. It's not really a fun slate, so just trying to do what we can, and that's pretty much all I've got. Bob Marley just asked, and hopefully you heard that, but I just said that to me, the four pieces that are super interesting to get a little different. I don't buy that Drummond is going to be quite as low owned as projected, but I do like Drummond. I think Seth Curry is in play as a low owned option. I think Tyrese Maxey is a low owned option. I think that Andrew Wiggins is a low owned option. And depending on what happens with Denver, Austin Rivers could be a low owned option you could use, or Aaron Gordon. None of the funnest plays, but it's a 2-game slate. So we have to try and find things to get a little bit different, right? So that's what we're going to do. Any other thoughts and questions? I just wanted to give a quick rundown of what I'm doing today, because instead of doing my 5 and 5, like 5 plays, like honestly, like it's really hard to come up with 5 differentiating plays, but I just gave you 4 that I think are legitimately the way you can try to win this tournament. Now, you don't need to play all 4, but if you play 1 or 2 of those guys and mix it in even with the chalk, that's how you can win these slates. Like that's the thing you do to try to gain some edge. Guys you could consider fading that are really high owned. Look, Looney makes a lot of sense, but you could try to fade that. You could try to fade. It's really hard to fade Looney actually at 4,100. Moody, there's definitely a path for him not getting there, so you can fade that. You could fade Embiid. These are the guys I'm most okay fading. I'm not going to fade Harden. I'm not going to fade Jokic, but I would consider fading the other guys. Definitely I'll fade Jordan Poole if he's going to be as high owned as projected. I will fade Klay Thompson if he's going to be as high owned as projected. I will fade Steph Curry if he's going to be as high owned as projected. That's just the way that I'm building. I do think that maybe a Curry, maybe focusing more on the second game is going to be lower owned on the Denver side, but it's going to be pretty high owned on the Golden State side. And even the Denver side is kind of hard to get away from some of the chalk. So that's my early thoughts. That's where I'm at. Let me know if you guys have any thoughts or questions. This is just a quick stream just to try to talk a little bit through the slate, because it is a weird slate and it's a 2-gamer. It's just not that exciting. So I would really, as I always say, bankroll management is key. Don't max enter things tonight. Now you could argue that, hey, I can get weird with a few plays and maybe that's the way I can max enter. I just am not going to do that kind of thing personally on this slate. It's a light day for me, so I'm trying to get some practical stuff done and all that. It's just, I don't think we need to go crazy on this slate. That's my personal point of view. Anyway, guys, pop in with any thoughts or questions. I know there's not that many people here. I know this is sort of like a spontaneous thing, but I will give it a minute to let you guys ask any questions or any thoughts on the slate and maybe a viable guy versus another. It's basically impossible on a 2-game slate for me to say that any play is completely wrong. I could say guys I like better. I think Bruce Brown is Bruce Brown and Seth Curry, along with Drummond, are the ways to get a little weird on the Brooklyn side. I'm just going through it again. The ways to get a little bit weird on the Philadelphia side are Maxey. Basically, I don't really have another one for you. I think that everybody Yang, sure, you can make an argument, but there's just other good value that's a little bit better. The get different play on Golden State is Wiggins, not my favorite one, but just an option. And you're going to have to make a play like this if you want to try to win a tournament, probably 2 of them if you want to try and win a big tournament. Austin Rivers, depending on who's healthy, would be my favorite of the low-owned guys. Aaron Gordon, my guess is his ownership will shoot up if those guys are out. But if it doesn't, Aaron Gordon at the moment would be another one I'd consider, as well as even maybe you could argue for a long shot boogie play. That's pretty much the only things I really have to get different. Not a very fun slate. We'll have plenty more to come back tomorrow. This is a nice little break after a million gamer last night, a 12 gamer. But anyway, yeah, if there's any thoughts or questions, let me know. And if not, we are going to get out of here. And I just wanted to give a quick little rundown. I thought it was better than a 5 and 5 to actually just go through, the guys I was thinking of to try and get creative. Because if I just did a 5 and 5 today, my 5 plays are going to be all chalk. The guys to get different are the guys that I mentioned. And that's to me the way you should approach these 2-gamers. I've had really good success in the past on 2-gamers, but again, usually prefer them at the very beginning or the very end of seasons where there's more speculation involved. This one has a bunch of blah. That's basically how I feel about it. So that's where I'm at. I think Drummond is absolutely viable on both sites. I just think that you're asking for a lot, but there is a huge upside in this guy. We just saw it. He just put up 47 the other night. This is to match up with Embiid. Doesn't he seem like a more of a natural fit than Claxton? To me, he does. So I think Drummond is a really good tournament play. Now, I can't promise you results on this, but I can promise that you have the upside. It's an awesome tournament play if the ownership is anywhere in the range that is being projected at right now. Durant, Kyrie, for me, it's Durant, but I don't mind if you want to go Kyrie. I just prefer Durant by a pretty good ways, and I probably won't be playing Kyrie tonight, but it's absolutely fine to play Kyrie if you want to go that route. I think that's pretty much all the questions, but I do appreciate you guys. Hopefully some people will watch this back later. It just gives you some ideas of ways to get different. So I'm going to just try to include one of those four or two of those four in my whatever lineups I end up playing tonight. Moody is more than viable, very popular play. I think it's a little too high of ownership personally, but it's hard not to like the guy. He's getting the minutes. He's really good. I like him as a real player. But yeah, Moody is very viable on both sides. So I have no problem with Moody. I think that's it. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you guys tuning in for just a few minutes and wanted to do a quick rundown for you. I'm going to go get my hair cut and get my beard trimmed, look like a normal human being again. Hopefully get my voice back at some point. And let's make some money tonight. If there's any questions, I'll be in Discord later on. In terms of live before lock, I'm not sure what we're doing exactly with that. I might just pop on again briefly and talk through things, but I don't think there's a whole lot to discuss. But Discord is probably your best bet for getting up to the minute information. There's not that many things that we're needing to worry about. I don't think you need to worry about game stacks to answer that question from Jolly. I think that you really just want to try to find the best plays and then try to incorporate the guys I mentioned as low-owned options. Because you're going to have to try to get weird if you want to win tournaments. I don't think you need to try and worry about a specific game to stack. Both games are stackable for what it's worth. Don't know what VUN rent means. I'll wait for another 30 seconds or so and see if you guys have any questions. If not, I hope you guys do well tonight, and we're going to be at it big tomorrow. And hopefully your golf lineups are doing well. Tommy Fleetwood, let's go, Tommy Fleetwood. I appreciate all you guys. Appreciate Mark for being here and making everything better on the site. And really, really, I'm telling you guys, in about a month, we're going to look like a whole different operation. Actually, I shouldn't even say a month. We already do look like a whole different operation. But in the next month, once we incorporate some things that I can't quite talk about yet, we are going to look really, really. I think you're going to be really happy. Anyway, I appreciate all you guys. And for True DFS, I'm Bobby Thigh saying good luck.